Hey, what's up? My name is Alea. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 books I want to read in 2023. So, how the hell are ya? I have not talked to you guys in ages. It's been so long since I filmed a sit-down video. I hope 2023 is treating you all well. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about top 10 books I want to read in 2023. Some of these are ones I want to reread. Some of them are sequels. I started a lot of series last year and I want to continue with those. Some of them are just other books that I've been hearing really good things about that I really want to get to. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first book I want to read is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this is a book that I read back in 2020 and I really want to do a reread because the sequel is coming out tomorrow on January 10th and I really want to get to that one. But I need to reread this because I don't remember a damn thing. Basically it's about this girl named Alex Stern and she gets recruited by the secret societies to come to Yale and they want her to come there because she has this ability where she can see ghosts, and these secret societies perform a lot of really weird rituals that attract the ghosts, and the ghosts can interfere with the rituals, and so they basically need Alex to like fight off these ghosts. And so she does that, and as she's discovering more about these secret societies, she realizes that some of them are doing some sketchy stuff, and one thing leads to another, and a woman ends up dead on campus, and Alex thinks that maybe the secret societies have something to do with it, so she ends up teaming up with a ghost to try and solve this murder, and the book kind of goes from there. And I really enjoyed this. If you like, you know, paranormal stuff, ghosty stuff, dark academia vibes, then I think you would really like this. I'm really excited to reread this and see if it's as good as I remember it being. And then the sequel, Hellbent, is set in hell, and it's basically about Alex like going to hell to try and get her friend back who got like kind of eaten by a scary monster and sent to hell in book 1. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And then next up on my list is a historical romance, and that's Secrets of a Summer Night by Lisa Kleypas. So this is a series that I really want to continue with. I read book like 0.5 last year and it was called Again the Magic, and I loved that one so much, and since then I read another Lisa Kleypas and I liked that one a lot too. So I want to continue with this series, and it also has a really stunning step back. So I want to read this one and then maybe continue with the other books in this series. I think there's 2 other ones as well, and they're each set in like a different season. So the next ones are autumn and winter. So anyways, if I read this, then I could continue with those throughout the year. But anyways, we'll see about that. But I really want to get to this one because I think it's going to be really good. This one follows different characters than the other book that I read. So we're following Annabelle, and she's basically trying to find a good husband, and she kind of teams up with some of her girlfriends, and they have this like kind of marriage scheme going on where they're trying to find husbands for all the different girls. And while they're doing that, our main character Annabelle ends up falling for this guy named Simon Hunt, and apparently he's kind of a rake. Like he kind of makes this deal with her where he's like, okay, like I'm down to mess around but I don't want to get married, and she's like, okay, I don't want that, like I want to marry you. And so she's trying to get him to settle down, and one thing leads to another, and I think she ends up trying to like fake date somebody else to make him jealous or something like that. But anyways, it sounds really good and I love Lisa Kleypas and I really want to read some more of her in 2023. Next, I actually have 3 books, but I'm going to count them as one because they're novellas and they're short, and that is the Deal with the Demon series by Katie Robert. And so I am currently reading The Dragon's Bride and I'm almost done with it. I only have like 30 pages left and I'm really enjoying this, and so I really want to continue on with the series. But I just recently picked up the other couple of books. So we have The Kraken Sacrifice and The Demon's Bargain, and so this is book 2 in the series, and this one is kind of like following some different side characters, so it's not part of like the main series, but it's still like connected. So I really want to get to these. I really like this series. They're monster romances and they all follow human brides who are auctioned off to these various monster men in the demon realm. And so this one follows Briar Rose and this dragon man that she ends up having to marry. And then this one follows this demon Romanu, and he is a side character in book 1. And then I think he has a romance with a woman named Lenora, but I'm not sure if she is human or if she also has some kind of like magical abilities. And then this one is following one of the human women from book 1 that got auctioned off to the Kraken man named Thane. And so she ends up having to like go live with him in the ocean, I think, and they have a romance. So anyways, he's got tentacles. That's pretty much all you need to know. But anyways, I'm really excited to read some more of these books. I really like Katie Robert and I want to continue on with this series because book 3 is coming out really soon in 2023. I think it comes out in March. It's called The Gargoyle's Captive and that one looks really good too. So I want to make sure that I'm caught up for when that one comes out. Next, we have a short story collection called Bliss Montage by Ling Ma. So this is one that I picked up randomly at the bookstore because I read the beginning of the first story and it was really bizarre and interesting and I was just hooked from the jump, and so I was like, well, let's just read it and see what happens. The first one's called Los Angeles and it's about this woman who lives in this giant mansion in LA with her husband and like her 100 ex-boyfriends, and it's really bizarre, and they go on all these like adventures with like her and all of her exes like in the car in like some convertible like going through LA, and it's like nonsensical and weird and funky and I'm really intrigued by it. So I want to get to this one, and then I have another one that's also kind of a weird one and it's We Spread by Ian Reid. So I have been watching a lot of people's best books of 2022 videos lately. That may or may not be involved in a secret vlog that is coming up soon later on in January / early February. But anyways, so people have been talking a lot about We Spread by Ian Reid, and this is supposed to be a horror novel about an old woman, and at the beginning of the novel her husband has died and she's living in a house by herself, and she's kind of getting to the point where she can't live there by herself anymore. She like had a fall, and so the landlord is like, okay, before your husband died we set up this thing for you so that when you were ready you could go to this like care facility, care home, and there's only like a couple other people that live there and they'll take care of you and you won't have to worry about anything. And so she's like, okay, whatever. So she goes and she lives there, and she kind of realizes after she's been there for a little while that maybe things aren't what they seem. And I've heard that this is a really scary book because it's basically about getting old and how the narrator can't tell if the things that she's remembering are true. Like she doesn't know if she can trust her own mind anymore, or if she has dementia, or like what's going on, and like, you know, is there something sinister going on in this house, or is she just imagining it because she can't remember things and she's in a new environment. And it sounds really good and interesting, and I heard that some people cried at the end of this, so I don't know what the hell this book's gonna be, but I'm really excited for it. Next up, we have one that I really wanted to get to in 2022 and it just did not happen, and that is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So I really want to get to this because I bought the hardcover and I just feel like I need to read this book. And I read this author's other book, Mexican Gothic. I think that was 2 years ago that I read that, and it was so good. And it got me into mushroom horror and it was awesome. And I've heard this one is not as horror as that one. It's a little bit more of like a historical sci-fi, but I'm excited about it because it's set in historical Mexico, just like Mexican Gothic. But we are following this young woman, and she's the daughter of this guy called Dr. Moreau, and she basically lives in this mansion in Mexico with him, and it sounds like he's doing some like sketchy experiments and stuff, and he's making these things called hybrids, and I think they're kind of like part human, part animal monsters. And that's all I really know. It says it's about secrets. It's a historical novel that also has like sci-fi elements to it. It sounds intriguing. I'm really not sure what these monster humans are gonna be like. Like, is that gonna be like a creepy thing or more of a sci-fi thing, or like what is the deal there? I don't know, but this cover is really pretty and I like this author and I feel like I really need to get to this book, and it's not even that long. So anyways, that is probably priority number 1 for 2023. Future me, if you're watching this, that was the priority. Did you read it? I see you. Did you read it? Read the book. Next, we have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is one that I think everybody has read except me on booktube. This is one that's been around for a long time, but it's kind of come back and had a resurgence in 2022, especially with Summerween, and everybody was reading this book and saying it was so good, and so I got a copy for my birthday and I really want to read it this year. This is a horror novel that's set, I think, in the 80s, and it's about these two best friends, and they end up going on like a camping trip or something, and one of them kind of goes off by herself and she ends up getting possessed by a demon. And it's about the other friend who is trying to tell people like, hey, we need to help this girl, like she is possessed, she's acting weird, something is wrong, like we need help. And people are just like not believing her. And it's about like the power of friendship. I've heard the friendship in here is like insane god tier girl friendship representation, and I just really want to read that. It sounds so fun. And I like the campy like 80s horror vibes too, and I've been wanting to read Grady Hendrix for a really long time, and I've never read one of his books before, so I think this year is going to be the year. And then next up we have Sign Here by Claudia Lux. So this is another horror novel, but this is one that I've been hearing some unique things about lately. So I've heard that this is really funny, and it's also a pretty chunky book, and it's following this guy who works in the 5th layer of hell, and he basically has this job where he has to try and get every member of this family to sign over their soul to him. And so he needs one more person from this family to sign their deal with him, and so he's trying to get them to do that. And he's kind of talking to like every member of the family to try and see which one is going to crack first and sign the deal. And so that's all I really know. I've heard that it's more like funny than scary, like it's set in hell, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not giving Dante's Inferno, it's giving like funny vibes somehow. I don't know, it sounds really intriguing. I really want to get to this. I'm very excited. This is one that I got off of Pango, but it's still a really nice hardcover, and I just feel like I need to read this, you know what I'm saying? And then last but certainly not least is the second book in a middle grade series that I started last year, and it's called How to Get Away with Myrtle. So this is book 2 in this kind of mystery series, and the first book was Premeditated Myrtle, and I really enjoyed that one. It was really good. I gave it like 4.5 stars, and we're following this young girl named Myrtle, and she lives with her dad, who's a lawyer, and her mom has passed away, and so they have this governess who lives with them and kind of like teaches her and takes care of her and stuff. And she and her governess end up getting into all of these like murder solving hijinks, and in book 1 the neighbor lady passes away, and our main character Myrtle is like spying on their house with her telescope, and she sees that something is off at her neighbor's house, and she goes to investigate, and she thinks that her neighbor's been murdered. And everybody is like, no, Myrtle, like she was just old, she just died of old age, like you're just making shit up. And Myrtle's like, no dude, like something is off, her cat is missing, somebody tore up all of the lilies in her lily garden, and she loved those, so that's like a huge red flag. And the groundskeeper is being like really shady, and normally he's really nice, and so she ends up taking it upon herself to solve the murder. And it was so cute. She's so funny. She and her governess have this really cute relationship where they're joking all the time, and Myrtle is really sharp and she's witty, and she definitely gets into some situations that she should not be in, but it's really fun. And her dad's a lawyer, and so he kind of has to like bail her out of trouble sometimes, and he's kind of just like, oh my god, my daughter is like a lot, and he's trying to like keep her out of trouble, and she just does not listen. And it's so funny, it's so good. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I think in this one they have to go on a train to like some other town. Oh, it says that they have to go abroad, and there's something about a priceless tiara. Sounds interesting. And somebody gets like murdered on the train, I think, and they have to like solve the murder. Anyways, it sounds really good. This is a really fun series. If you're into middle grade, I highly recommend you pick this up. It's witty, it's fun, it's light, but it also has, you know, those nice murder mystery vibes that you just want sometimes, but nothing that's like too gory or dark or whatever. And it's nice because Myrtle is really into criminology and forensics. So if you're one of those girls who watched like too many episodes of Castle and Bones and whatever, like I did as a kid, then you would really like this series. It's really fun, even if you're an adult. So those are all the books that I want to read in 2023 that are like backlist titles. I'm also going to be doing another video soon that's going to be my most anticipated releases for 2023, so look out for that. And also, if you have not subscribed, I would love it if you could consider doing so. I'm trying to post a lot more videos in 2023 and more reading vlogs and stuff like that, but I'm also trying to do it at my own pace and kind of relax and have fun with reading and doing vlogs and talking about lifestyle stuff and baking and crafting and outside adventures and all that kind of stuff along with books. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, like, hang out with me and see if there's some more stuff you'd like to see. And I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye! Bye!